Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this channel. Today, I want to give details of the Adani story. If you have heard about the Adani story and what has conspired about it until today, from the time it began, bit by bit, so that you can find an understanding how the Adani and JKIA are in the current situation we are as a country. But before I do that, if you're watching for the first time, take a second or two, subscribe to our channel so that you're always notified whenever you're doing such a video. So, the Adani story begins back in March, but before the Adani came in, remember very well there is a time that the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport had issues, some serious issue about, we had issues about raining in, and a lot of people were complaining that the JKIA and International Airport was dribbling in, and also we had issues with the power, an issue that had brought about a thought of building a new terminal for the airport, and also wanting to rebuild it or refurbish it, and also another runway. So the Kenya Airports Authority seeked advisory from a private firm, LG, to advise Kenya Airports Authority KAA on how it could the effectiveness of going to a private public partnership so that it could get the JKIA could get a new terminal and also a new runway. So the private firm that was consulted by Kenya Airports Authority advised Kenya Airports Authority that it was okay to go to a private partnership uh, agreement, but the private partnership program or should also be done in an open tender. So the private firm advised KAA, Kenya Airports Authority, to do a private public partnership, but also through an open tender. That was on the February of 2024 this year. So in March of 2024, just a month later, a private company called Adani now comes in, did a privately initiated proposal to the Kenya Airports Authority KAA. A privately initiated proposal is a proposal that is done without is initiated privately. Let's say, for example, you come to Kenya and realize, oh, there's a challenge, a certain challenge in Kenya. Let's say maybe you go to our schools and realize that our schools have challenges, maybe say of dormitories, and then you do a proposal to the Ministry of Education saying that I'll do dormitories, but we make terms of agreement. After those terms are done, you hand over those dormitories to the government or to the Ministry of Education. So that was the initiation that Adani did, called privately initiated proposal to Kenya Airports Authority about renovating and managing the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Later, uh, the advisory firm that had been sought by Kenya Airports Authority uh, advised uh, advised the Kenya Airports Authority that the bidding, it was good for them to do a bidding that was publicly open, through an open tender. When awarding that tender, it should be an open tender. But the Adani group or the Adani group come and say that the open tender method where it was time consuming and it was limited to some terms of agreement. Instead, advised the Kenya Airports Authority that it could be better if they did a privately initiated proposal so that they could deal with the rebuilding of the rebuilding and refurbishing of the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. That was still in March. So as things were unfolding slowly by slowly, the Adani Group, the advisory, the company that had been sought by the Kenya Airports Authority, advised the Kenya Airports Authority that the deal that Adani was putting for them was not very good because of the following reasons I want to give you. Number one, if Adani, in the privately initiated proposal Adani had given to the Kenya Airport Authority, if that agreement was to be signed and agreed and upon, and they were to refurbish, they were to go and rebuild and run and manage the JKIA, then it meant that it could hike the prices of flight prices by 52%. According to the advisory firm, the 52% hike of prices was not associated in anything that was concerned about the improvement of the building of the airport, but rather could make the airport become so unpopular with a lot of Kenya, and it could give an international bad impression of visitors to Kenya, and it was not necessary. Second thing that was not very good from the Adani proposal, it was that Adani in the proposal said that if that in that agreement, that if that tender goes through, there should be no airport to be constructed for the next 30 years, which they were going to run the JKIA within a radius of 150 kilometers from JKIA. A radius of 100 kilometers means that for the period from now until 30 years, Kenya, nobody or no firm can construct an airport, let's say from here to Machakos, to the far Nyeri, let's go to Masai Mara, that's the parts of Narok. 150 kilometers is a very, very wide distance. And if any airport could be constructed, then it was against the terms of agreement for the next 30 years. Another thing that was not very good in the proposal, the Adani Group did not want to first build a new runway and terminal, but instead wanted to refurbish the airport, then build a terminal later and the runway later, which was not the initial requirement of Kenya Airports Authority. Kenya Airports Authority wanted building of the terminal and the runway and then refurbishing of the airport. But the Adani Group wanted first to refurbish the airport, run it, and then in the meantime build a new terminal and a new runway. Remember that the initial requirement of this was by KAA was a new terminal that could make the JKIA be able to do about 20 million flight passengers per year. But the Adani was wanting to run fast, the refurbish, run, and then build the terminal. So it was another issue that was brought in concern by the advisory firm to Kenya Airports Authority. So that was the issue relating with the Adani deal. And today in Senate, Senator of Kisii, Onyonka said that a man who had whistleblown to him about the deal, the Adani deal, is claiming that he is being followed by some people, and he is in, I think, an investment firm in France, if I'm not wrong, an investment firm in France. So, and today the Minister of Infrastructure and Transport, Mr. Honorable Churchill, was in Senate and he was asked very tough questions, and the senators advised the minister that Kenyans were not for the for that handing over to Adani Group, but instead should go back and reconsider that the JKIA should be done by Kenyans or by the Kenyan government. Remember that it's a thing that has taken a lot of concern. I'll be updating you and telling you what's going on. Thank you for being with me, and remember to subscribe to this channel so that next time you'll get what is really happening. Thank you and have a nice evening, ladies and gentlemen.